back to you with the areas where the shoot is hurting for our local government. I cannot, in this brief time, give you an exhaustive areas where we expect your expertise can improve our lot in Surulere local government. Thank you very much.
Is that DIFRI is planning to move away from mere provisions of basic infrastructures. We want to now move into an area where we get people of the communities directly involved in determining their own fate. And for them to be able to identify what programs they want to put in place in their community for proper development. And thereafter, we as an organ will facilitate this and guide them, advise professionally to make sure that they are on the right course. We will still continue to provide the other side, that is the basic infrastructure. We are going to combine the two programs. That our emphasis is that we believe that nothing that is worthwhile will come out of the entire program unless we get the people that are within the rural setting involved in the implementation. And as a result of that, we'll be launching a program on Friday 9th July at Ikorodu. That is the direct participation scheme. And we expect that some donations will be given to us by through the local government, like other local government has promised. We are sure you are up to the task in spite of all the financial constraints that you are confronting you. We expect that at that occasion you will be able to compare notes in terms of the magnitude of problems that are confronting our rural communities in relation to your own. We expect also that on Tuesday 6th, the chairman of this local government, the supervisor in charge of the agricultural development, the head of agricultural development, the chairman of the community development associations will converge at our own state secretariat auditorium for a meeting with the chairman of the National DIFRI. We want a chairman to be able to rub minds with the chairman of National DIFRI so that they can understand in depth the level of problem confronting our rural setting in Lagos State. We don't want a situation where the misconception of believing that metropolitan Lagos is still the entire Lagos State. We have rural setting, and this problem we must bring to focus so that they can understand this and knowing that comparing to other states, we'll be able to get our own share of getting our development properly done. For agricultural development team for the betterment and the upliftment of the life of our people in these rural communities. Basically, that is why we
the board members, the chairman and board members of Lagos State Ferry Service, Chief L.O. Balogun, the Jagumolu of Ojoland. You're welcome, sir. On my left here are Mr. Adeoshun. Please help.
Good day, gentlemen and ladies.
Next one is Chief G.S. Ayo Leye.
You are welcome.
Followed by Mr. Prince Shade.
Please, you are welcome.
And Mr. Otakaye, next one. On my far right is, thank you. Now, gentlemen of the press, before we go on, at the discretion of the chairman, he would like to know what media are represented here just now. But I think that was from your questions, and I'm sure the cross-section of the media is well represented here, Mr. Chairman, sir. The saying is, seeing is believing. We want to see what we're going to talk about, and then we want your reactions.
As well as wide cost of land transportation, it's fast gaining popularity as a means of commuting among the masses. When you look at it as a cost of transportation, compared to what now better for us, nobody pays travel. That's for a ride from Apapa to CMS in the heart of Lagos, where most offices are located. And also, for commuters in the mile 2 and Festive end of Lagos, ferries are a popular choice.
Because the money is too cheap.
How much is it on ferry?
2 naira, but more than 5 naira. That's you can see.
So how many hours will it take you to come from?
About 45 minutes from 2 to Semesia, but more will take you hours.
You can therefore see why the ferry is taking over from the railway as a popular form of mass transit. But in this case, people are saying it is potentially a more dangerous trend.
We don't want the kind of situation we have at the railway to be existing in the beach here, because when people got drawn, we lose people.
These fears are expressed because of the situation at most of the functional ferries in Lagos, in which people are lumped together in very large numbers, with many of them perched in dangerous positions. Meanwhile, the typical mass transit ferries were built to take 280 passengers only.
They carry pass.
Those who supervise the ferry, its workers and passengers say they are aware of this, but that with the recent influx of passengers, controlling them is difficult. Mr. Ogba is a beach master.
We cannot stop them. When the passengers power us, they just broke in, so we cannot control them.
Some passengers say that this situation exists because of the urgency of meeting up with appointments, and also bearing in mind that there are few available ferries.
They normally carry more than 100 passengers because of the work. So everybody is supposed to follow themselves. So if they don't their own, they don't have it in mind to carry more than that. It is our comfort, so that we can reach the place of working in time. If some people see that they say are full, they'll see even though where they say are started move. You could see some people are jumping in.
However, what bothers some people is the safety of all who board in this manner.
You see the ferry now?
Yes.
You can see that there is nothing holding anybody from going above the edge. Now you have the third ferry at the other extreme end, and you want people who are going to night 2, they will start jumping, undermining the risk they are taking because they want to get home.
Tonia, a staff of the NTA, used to board the ferry until she fell into the lagoon last month, just because there is no gangway through which people cross from the ferry when it bursts. So me, they were shouting, they were trying to see if they can draw me out. So it was the second time, and I came out. As I raised my hand like this, there was this little protector from the decking, you know, that decking you mentioned. There's this little protector that came out. So my right hand just grabbed it. Then I raised my second hand again, I grabbed the second hand. That was how they drew me out But was there any indication that maybe that kind of thing had happened before?
Well, like what they said, that they say people have been falling, that I'm lucky to have come out, that people don't come out.
It is interesting to know that a case like Tony's happened even though there are always seamen on board to rescue people, and in addition to the lifeboats and floaters that are on board. But mind you, there will only be enough for 280 passengers. So what happens to the others in the event of a mishap? It is therefore the opinion of some people that urgent action needs to be taken. The appeal here is for more ferries.
I explain to you, for instance, if two are running and they cannot cope, now if we have four, they could cope, one coming behind the other. So within a short time, the problem is solved.
In the opinion of some though, financial gains should also make the provision of more ferries an attractive one. And some see a Ajegule still to have a functioning berth for ferries as a possible gold mine.
Kind of particularly will be paid more than my two, because people there more than what is in my two, because people are too much. So people, if we put ferry, they will get money more than anywhere.
The feeling generally is that it is incumbent on government to do something now more than ever before, as the poor masses today have no better option.
For the fact that the road is actually crowded and transport fare is too high, the only thing one could afford is to enter ferry, because ferry is more cheap than any other transport.
Motor is not there. All the motor they go like man. I want to go and they say no, we can't vote. So we don't tire.
Chairman would enlighten us more on what we don't know. And I see this opportunity to ask the Chairman, Lagos State Ferry Services, to please present his address. Mr. Chairman.
I welcome you on board because you are now in one of our boats in Lagos State Ferry Service Corporation. I am delighted to see you present at today's press conference. Humble self, but because the role of Lagos State Ferry Service is playing to alleviate the suffering of the teeming masses cannot be overemphasized. Let me recall from the ethic of your profession, which say, facts are the watchword of journalism, and an investigative journalism without an in-depth is bound to misinform. Last Sunday, 27th day of June 1993, Newsline on the ferry service by the LTA is a subjective story which has misinformed the public on the operation of Lagos State Ferry Service Corporation. It was alleged that Lagos State Ferry Service is overloading and the life jacket in each ferry were not sufficient. It was further alleged that an LTA staff, Mrs. Tonia, fell from a ferry but luckily escaped by holding to the railing of the ferry. And gentlemen of the press, that there are 3 water transportation operators on Lagos Lagoon, namely
Island Waters Way. Inland Waters Way. Sorry, please. Federal Urban Mass Water Transportation and the Lagos State Ferry Service Corporation. Which one did LTA staff, Mrs. Tonia, John, and Saul? Didn't LTA know this? That's another question. If it does not know, why did LTA go ahead to interview a beastmaster, Mr. Ogba, of unknown organization? I'm confirming to you, among 130 staff of Lagos State Ferry Service Corporation, there is nobody there, Mr. Ogba, as a beastmaster. Are members of public not entitled to know which organization that beastmaster is working? In the report, a life jacket was shown tagged Badagry. I want to tell you that the Lagos State Ferry Service has no boat called Badagry. Anyway, what I noticed is that if LTA staff was not involved in that incident, LTA may not bother about what is happening with water transportation in Lagos State. I appeal to the press to always find out the fact before informing the public, because fact is the life wire of journalism. Lagos State Transport Corporation and the Lagos State Rail Service are babies of the Lagos State government, which its growth can only be sustained through the contribution of all the 3 tiers of government, namely local government, state government, the federal, and also the private sectors. Since the establishment of this corporation in 1980, special allocation has always been credited by the local government to the corporation to boost the morale of its services. The last allocation received was 1.85 million naira and was contributed by the 5 local governments in 1991. It is however lamenting to say that no local government contributed kobo last year, and nothing has been received from them this year as well, because the local government is now autonomous and they don't want to respond to agreed contribution to the ferry service transportation. But I will see this opportunity to appeal to them to come to our aid so that we can render the social services that are needed for the public. On the part of the private sector, it is pertinent to state that the multinational companies and the financial institutions should endeavor to allocate some funds from their budget to Lagos State Ferry Service Corporation annually, because we observe that these companies are largest employers of labor in Lagos Island in particular, whose staff and clients board our ferries now and then. Furthermore, our services is more than 200% cheaper than what is obtained on the road. For instance, from the Lagos Island to Mile 2 is 2 naira only. Our services is more of social than economic. This is why the Lagos State Ferry Service Corporation cannot privatize and commercialize its services. You agree with me that we render total social services to the people of Lagos State. To maintain a ferry in a month, it costs over 100,000 naira. While what we realize a month is below the marginal profit. Hence, the government must continue to fund it to alleviate the suffering of the working classes people of Lagos State. Let me recall the attitude of the strong over the weak. Over the years and before the independence of this great country, the federal government has been cheating the Lagos State government on the exploitations of Lagos Lagoon for water transportation. In 1967, when the Lagos State government was created, it was unambiguously stated that the federal government of Nigeria should recognize and consider the right of Lagos State to operate and perform the constitutional function being carried out by all other states of the Federation. Practicalization of these functions promoted the promulgation of Decree 14 of 1967, which states that all functions being performed as at 1967 by the Federal Ministry of Lagos Affairs and some function by the federal ministries should automatically go to newly created Lagos State with all the personnel and property, including the water transportation in Lagos State. Many of these properties, which include the ferry and boats of the Federal Inland Waterway and the Federal Urban Mass Water Transportation, are still under the management of the federal government. This is unfair and it is an injustice on our part. Federal government, on the other hand, has abandoned the repair of almost all its roads in Lagos State since it is movement to new capital Abuja. The Premier Expressway, Lagos-Badagry Expressway, is now in shambles, causing damages for motorists. I want to enlighten the members of the public that the government is aware of their transportation responsibility and problems. It is in the light of this that Governor Michael Agbolade Otedola, the Executive Governor of Lagos State, bought 2 additional ferries of 75 and 600 seaters to supplement the existing ones which we are operating today. In the same vein, he purchased hundreds of buses to serve all the 15 local government areas of the state, and also prepare to buy more to discongest Lagos road. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, I cannot stop this press conference without recalling on two principal things. One, the press and the federal government. Gentlemen of the press, you will agree with me that the NTA Channel 10 news line of Sunday 27 June 1993 misinformed the public because public do not know which ferry Mrs. Tonia joined and from where. On the other hand, I see this golden opportunity to appeal to the federal government to transfer property and personnel of the Federal Urban Mass Water Transportation Inland Waterways to the Lagos State Ferry Service, because it is our constitutional right and we are prepared to give comfortable, efficient and safe water transportation to the commuter and the people of Lagos State in general. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Mr.
And I happen to have been the reporter who did that assignment. I have a few observations to make. First of all, the reason we came for this press conference was that we thought we had achieved the purpose for which that report was done. We thought we'd come here and you would show us 2 or 3 new ferries or something like that. That's just an observation. That's how we came here. But, well, it's a good thing we came here because we are being accused of having done something wrong. First of all, this is not a Channel 10 fault. It's an NTA News. Newsline is on the NTA News. Channel 10 has nothing to do with it. And secondly, most of our story ideas, you could come to my office and tell me, oh, look what I observed today. And I decided, oh, that's something that we could do a story about. And regardless of the fact that the staff of NTA had that misfortune, we would have still done that report. Although the staff of NTA was the first person that gave us the idea and went out and said, we observed, we saw that these ferries, you could see the pictures told the story. The ferries are overcrowded, and we didn't pin anybody. We were not making any blames. We were only making an observation, hoping that at the end of the day, government would see that this thing is in dire situation and something has to be done. So we didn't say anything about Lagos State ferry services or inland waterways or whatever, and we didn't point any accusing fingers. We're just presenting a problem, which is what NTA Newsline is all about. We present the problem and you react to it. You tell us, oh, okay, we've seen this problem. This is why the problem is there. Because I know most often if you want to do a report like that and you come over to the executives who are in charge, they'll tell you, oh, I can't comment because it's a government problem. So we present this problem. We don't accuse anybody. The pictures told the story. Those ferries are overcrowded. We woke up as early as 6 to be able to get on them, to get those pictures, so that nobody's not going to say, oh, at the end of the day, NTA is doing this. And we didn't call the ferry that the NTA staff got into because we didn't want to say, oh, it's because it's this particular ferry or it's not this particular ferry. The issue is she fell in because there was no gangway which she could walk across. She was going to cross over and the ferry moved and she fell in. It's simple and it could happen to anybody. And it's more dangerous on the waterway. That's why we're bothered. We're not accusing anybody. And I'll be very glad if you could tell me, oh, Otedola has bought 2 new boats. These are the boats. Then people will say, oh yes, this was happening. And that's what I would like to hear. And I hope you understand what happened. It's not a question of trying to put anybody down or not having done my investigation well enough. We just presented a problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's speak on behalf of NTA. It is very, very important that in journalism you should ensure that you defend your profession. I really appreciate that the NTA and all the news media in Nigeria show much an appreciation by giving the full coverage in all our services, particularly the Lagos State Ferry Service in water transportation. Our reaction to your news report is based on the 3 operators. You said you did not mention Lagos State Ferry, but you mentioned ferry. There is no operator in Lagos State that bear Lagos State Ferry service. In any of our boats, you will see it boldly written Lagos State Ferry. That is one. We also ensure that the name of our boat reflects meaning and the cultural background of Lagos State inhabitants and indigenous. I will give you an example. When you mention Omu, there is a river in Lagos State called Omu. When you mention MF Ologe, there is a river in Lagos State called Ologe Lagoon, and so on and so forth. That is the answer to the reaction of not calling Lagos State Ferry in particular. Another aspect is that the overloading issue, you will agree with me now that the picture could show clearly that Mrs. Tonia could not identify the operator of that boat. At the time the picture is shown, and you could see that Tonia herself cannot say that it is this ferry from Eland Waterway, Lagos Ferry, or Banks Transport Water Company Transport. So the point we are making is that it is our constitutional right as a Lagos State parastatal under the Lagos State government to ensure that it is our duty to ensure the safety of all the commuters, and we are pledged that efficiency is our goal, and we will continue to save the life of all the commuters that board our boat. We give you that assurance. Thank you.
As a corporate organization in this country. But I want to also observe, as a resident of the state, I recall that some 2 years back, or last year, when he used to be Lieutenant Commander Pierce was in this place, this issue of overloading came up. Now did a report on it, and I interviewed Pierce about it. After Pierce left, Johnson, who also Lieutenant Commander, was the General Manager here. This issue of overloading also came up. I don't want you to seem as if anybody is putting Lagos State ferry service. In it, like you rightly observed yourself, I think the crucial issue is that we all should strive to protect the lives of all the citizens of the state. Whether it was Lagos State ferry service or inland waterways or federal urban mass transit, the issue remains the issue of overloading. And I think we should address our minds to this fundamental issue. I think the NTA was just raising a national, because everybody from this country has a relation or whatever that lives in the state. And I think we should do them. We shouldn't try to discourage them from doing these reports, because I don't think they have an axe to grind with you personally. They don't. I don't think so. Because that's why I had to reflect back to this. Pierce himself is a citizen of the state. You can ask him. And when I did that report, he congratulated me, because he said he could not be everywhere to observe these things. That's my point. Whether it was the issue of the beach master, I don't see where it takes us. I don't want to address that, but let me address some questions you raised here, sir. In as much as we also want the federal government to come to the assistance of Lagos State, I want to ask: has the ferry service or Lagos State? Because I know there's something we call the organization called community relations. They assist communities. Corporate organizations assist communities where they work. I think if the state government or your corporation appeals appropriately to these organizations that you say their staff, the citizens also pay tax, which is paid to your state government. Even as federal institutions where I work, we pay tax that are paid to your state government. So I expect that proper channels should be followed in addressing this problem. We will use our own platforms to appeal to them, but I know that you can also do a lot more on this issue. The other issue has to do with allocation of property and ferries to you by Federal Inland Waterways. We say the creation of state in 1967. Please, let me. I want to create your indulgence. We shouldn't isolate, because I don't want us to create a situation that looks like there's a conflict between Lagos State and federal government. You know, because I know that there are other states who are in the same positions like your state. For instance, River State and Cross River State, which are riverine states, and they have also had these facilities that you are referring to. I think we should do it properly. We should do it. Let it not, because we are now getting into the era of politics, and let it not come to a situation where we had in the Second Republic, where Anambra State was fighting with federal government over the repair of road that at the end of it, the citizens are the people that suffer. That's my observation. So thank you.
That the Lagos State government is really doing their best, and you have been trying as a journalist to ensure that you promote our activities. You recollect that one of the questions which will not be answered, or answer it, concerned whether the Lagos State have buy a new boat, which the NTA reporter asked. For further clarification, because I thought that all the news media in the country have carried this story, and I don't want to continue repeating what have been emphasized and reported widely by the newspaper and television. But I will take this opportunity to repeat again that the Lagos State government took a decision this year, and the decision is that they decided to buy more vessels from Niger Dock Nigeria Limited. This is a company owned by the federal government of Nigeria. The reason of buying more boats from them is to ensure the proper maintenance and the security, which we hope that's going to be a joint responsibility of both the ferry service and Niger Dock Nigeria Limited. A contract was signed by the Lagos State Executive Governor of Lagos State, Sir Michael Abolade Otedola, with Niger Dock Nigeria Limited to the tune of $2.6 million in purchasing 2 ferry service boats, about 2 ferry boats. And that's why I said the governor of Lagos State have supplement more to the existing one that we are operating now by purchasing through the federal government agency in their responsibility in giving water transportation to the people of Lagos State. The other aspect which you raised about either a conflict between the Lagos State government and the federal government. We don't have any conflict or any rancors with any agencies of the federal government. We have a good rapport. Time to time, we monitor the transportation, particularly the water transportation in Lagos State. And I want to tell you, let it be placed in record, that since the Lagos State Ferry Service Corporation have been operating since 1980, there was no any mishap or any abuse of function by the Lagos State Ferry Service Corporation. We have in our premises a security post manned by Nigeria Police. We have also a magistrate court to try offenders that might not comply with instruction and regulation of the Lagos State Ferry Service Corporation. If you look at all this security provided, you will agree with me that the safety of all the commuters is very important to us. The life jacket, which we always provide in the ferries, is to rescue those that cannot swim. And the work of able seamen is to ensure that we don't pray for it. They were well trained for that, to go into the water and ensure that a quick action is taken. Before you board our boat, you will climb all the rails, you will go in gently with a door, and you will see that we don't construct a boat that will not have a proper door and windows with vegetation, that you have a free air, and you will agree with me that even the commuters are saying that if you enter Lagos State Ferry's boat, you will enjoy better than other transportation. And that shows clearly that we have been maintaining and giving them a good services, which we commend all the our commuters, and that they have been showing a good appreciation to that. So we welcome them to continue to board our boat. The function of the federal government, which we are agitating for, is that Lagos State is a commercial capital of Nigeria. River State, Cross River State have similar water transportation. What we are expecting the Lagos and the federal government to do is to advise, go into study of how to increase the transport, the water transportation in Nigeria, and ensure that a law and regulations back it for the safety of all the commuters in Nigeria. Their job does not stop there. They should be able to ensure that interstate transportation on the water should be undertaken by the federal mass water. As a citizen of this country, to board a boat from Lagos to the Cross River State and the River State, which are part of the state controlled by the federal government. Our appeal is just to ensure that we want to tell the public that we are capable. We don't want a conflict whereby the jacket that's shown in that report bear Badagry. Well, it's left for NTA to find out which boat that used the jacket of Badagry. we have the name written boldly, Lagos State Ferry Service. So I think I've answered your question, except if there's anyone that I will not be able to, I will not remember, you can come up again and then I will answer you. Thank you.
The question I have to ask is, he who is faithful in little things, they say, and more things shall be committed to him. We see, and as we have read from the chairman's speech, calling for the federal government to relinquish other ferries to them. And yet we have a lot of ferries here lying idle. How then do you think, if more be brought to you, that you are capable of handling it in any way so as it will serve the purpose by which they are meant to serve? Thank you.
To inform the press that the Executive Governor of Lagos State just a week ago awarded Babakekere, Uramo, and other boats that have been grounded to Damage Shipping Yard, which shows clearly that the government of Lagos State is not only purchasing but ensuring that all the grounded boats are repaired and function. I want to let this press understand one thing. The government of Sir Michael Otedola inherited in 1991 all the grounded boats. They were all grounded. And at that time, in 1991, he came in 1992, sorry please, where he met all the grounded boats. In 1992, the first thing he does was to set up a task force to look into the problems that militating against all these grounded boats. After the report, he commissioned the task force to ensure that all the boats continue to work immediately, and he released money to them. On March 25th, 1993, my board was inaugurated by His Excellency Michael Abolade Otedola to take over from the task force, and my board received into the corporation March 31st, 1993. Between March 31st, 1993 and today, you will agree with me that a lot of improvements have been achieved. And I'll tell you, I will give you 3 out of it because we have recorded a catalog of achievements. One of it is that we first of all take care of the welfare of our staff. We inherit 3 months arrears unpaid to workers in the Lagos State Ferry Service. His Excellency released up to $1 million to the Lagos State Ferry Service to offset all the salaries of the workers, and also gave a particular instruction that the 45% being accepted by His Excellency should be paid along. When the budget of Lagos State Ferry was approved by the Lagos State House of Assembly, our budget was cut from 2.5 million to 2.2 million naira because the Lagos House of Assembly did not consider other expenses such like 45%. That amount only represents a subvention to pay salary and some petty domestic operation of the service of the corporation. So that is one of the achievements. Another one is that within this short period when this board came into existence, I said earlier that 2 ferry boats have been purchased, and if you go to Niger Dock today, I'm confirming it to you that go to Niger Dock Snake Island, you will see our boat there being built. One of it has been built, but we insisted that we want to get all the 2 at a time. But as things are going on now, we have told them that before the ending of the July, we want to have 1, so that the next one will be in August, which they have promised. And if you go there, you will see how this Nigeria indigenous company owned by the federal government has built a beautiful boat that we can maintain by ourselves in Nigeria. The third achievement is that all the grounded boats were awarded to Daniel Shipping Yard through our supervising ministry, Lagos State Ministry of Works and Transport. Several times, my Honorable Commissioner, Chief Michael Cole, have released this to the press, and this is why we don't want to bother by explaining it to you. But it's a great opportunity for us to tell you that we have been achieving a lot, and we continue to achieve. And we promise that we will give a befitting boats. The task force, at the time it was inaugurated, ensured that the boat continued to function. And about 2 of it were immediately put into operation. But their major problem is that all the 6 aluminium boats which were inherited has no fast servicing part. These boats were bought, and all the parts that are supposed to enable the Lagos State Ferry Service Corporation, particularly the engineering department, to maintain them regularly, were not accomplished. The boats were bought from abroad. They are not Nigeria-made boats, and that is why the boat was landed. But what we did now is that Daniel Shipping Yard Nigeria Limited is a company that has regular relationship with the manufacturer of this boat, and that is why the Lagos State government decided to contract all the boats to them. We hope by I said that the one that are contracted to them is particularly the Kuramo, Babakekere, and they have also assured that the aluminium boat will be undertaken by them, which the Lagos State government with them is now in a consultation on the issue. Not only the Daniel Shipping Yard that have shown good interest, there are other reputable corporations who have shown interest, and some have been awarded to them. Like underwater, if you go to underwater yard now, you will see Tabaji there. And we hope that every effort of this government is to ensure that all the ferries are working. At our present, on our own part, we have about 3 of our boats which are regularly functional now on our own. But the problem is that we don't have the spare parts, and we only try to, through the local sources, that we are maintaining it. But the Lagos State government have assured that after repairing all the boats from the reputable companies, then they will purchase all the services parts to the Lagos State Ferry Service. And in addition, The training of all our staff will commence from July, because some of them will be sent abroad to ensure that all the aluminium boats built by the manufacturers that are abroad are given full knowledge of all the components, so that there will be no any breakdown of any boat, including the one that is supplied by the Niger Dock Nigeria Limited. In fact, the Niger Dock have promised us that they will give us a training free of charge for 1 year, and they also give us the services, including the part, for 2 years with their resident engineer with Lagos State Ferry Service. So for 10 years, in addition, we will have a guarantee of spare parts for and the management of Lagos State Ferry Service. We sincerely thank all the press that are present here today, and those that feel concerned that have been giving the publicity to the ferry services for the people of Lagos State. We really thank you. We invite you and you turn up. And that shows clearly that you are so much interested in ensuring that workers of this country did not suffer. And I believe your contribution cannot be emphasized than just to continue to thank you in millions. Thank you.